Welcome to another demo of our AI-enabled no-code/low-code platform, Flip. Today, we'll walk you through how the data pipeline works. There are two components to this. 1. Creating the data pipeline. 2. Processing files through the created pipeline. Flip supports following file types: Excel, CSV, and PDF. In our previous video, we showed how to process an Excel file. Today, we'll cover how to process an invoice, PDF file, through a created pipeline. There are two ways to do this: template-based and AI processing. First, let's process an invoice through template mode. If you have a defined digital invoice, you can simply drop the file here. It will use AI to identify all the fields, determine the elements present, and map them to the right side as shown. But there can be a field you want to pick up manually. For example, if you want to pick the invoice total, just draw a box around it, and the system will automatically pick up the value and populate it. Similarly, if the vendor name is mandatory, you can select that field. Let's say you label it as the vendor name since it's easily available, and the system will populate it accordingly. Once you've selected all the information you want to extract from the PDF, click Next. The system will then ask you to select any table information you want to extract. In this case, you'll select the table region you want to extract, and then you can add the table here. Afterward, you'll define the column separations for each part of the table. You can simply double-click to populate the column mapping. Once that's done, the table structure is defined, showing how it will look. This process is dynamic, as you're just outlining the table, and the system can handle any variations that might come up later. Next, you'll define where the table's header ends. After that, you'll specify where the first line of data starts. Once that's set, you'll move on to the next step. After clicking Next, the system identifies the table and all related information. You have two options. You can either choose fixed height, where all rows have a consistent length, or field-based height, where you give a reference point to define the grid that has been selected. This is more dynamic depending on the field you select. In the case of a fixed height, it essentially functions as a table with multiple values, dynamically picking up any additional values during runtime if they appear. Next, you'll define something called the end-of-table anchor, which tells the system where your table ends. For example, if a subtotal appears, that typically indicates the table has ended. Once that's done, the system will provide a preview of all the extracted data. You're then free to map it to specific line items, such as quantity or any other fields you need to map. Once you've mapped everything, you'll get a preview of what the output file will look like. At this point, you can go ahead and create the pipeline. I won't create a new one now, as I already have a pipeline set up. But if you go to the template-based option, the process is the same as with Excel. You define your file settings and set up email alerts as needed. You can click here to return to your template. In the mapping, I've defined fields like the invoice number and other details I typically want to extract. Similarly, for line items, I've specified fields such as the line amount and description. So this is how template-based invoice is created. Now the third option is creating an AI-based invoice. In this case, you don't need a sample file. You just select the AI processing mode and list the fields you want. AI will automatically detect and extract the data from any document, whether it's a scanned or digital copy, and it dynamically pulls the information from the file. You can select all the source files you need here. For line items, the AI system supports various fields, and new ones can also be added, which will be utilized using an LLM, large language model. If the AI application doesn't extract certain information, we use LLM to extract that information from the invoice. Sign up for a free demo at www.canerica.com/meet.